This video is part of my series on digital transformation and how CA Technologies helps customers with digital transformation. In this short video, I'll be looking at the mainframe and some of the capabilities that CA brings around the mainframe. So admittedly, the mainframe is perhaps not the first thing we think of in terms of digital transformation and the application economy, but bear in mind that the mainframe still holds 70% of the world's corporate data. And according to some research, 55% of applications touch the mainframe in some way for transactions. So the mainframe is very much, albeit a system of record, but something that is part of many digital transformation initiatives. So CA Technologies has been building software for the mainframe for many decades. I'm not going to cover all of those capabilities now, but to give you a flavor of some of them, we'll begin with CA Data Content Discovery. So these days there is a lot of interest and regulatory controls around the use of personally identifiable information. So think about customer information or PCI information for credit card payments. But basically, I mean, in Europe in 2018, we have an introduction of new regulation called GDPR, which will put in place very strict controls over the use of personally identifiable information. So facing those kind of regulations, organizations who have a mainframe will be concerned around where is personally identifiable information on our mainframe, where does customer data reside. So CA Data Content Discovery is a capability to allow you to find that information in the first place, scan the mainframe using a range of regular expression capabilities and others to source the data, illuminate it, classify that data according to its context, and put in place protection mechanisms to ensure that that data is not going to be in breach of compliance. Another area of capability is to do with reducing ongoing costs for the mainframe. So according to studies, the average mainframe data center overpays on third-party maintenance by $17 million over a 5-year period. So the point is that there is a lot of margin in terms of third-party support for software that resides on the mainframe. So what if you could maintain that same level of functionality on the mainframe, but drastically reduce the cost of provisioning that in terms of ongoing maintenance costs? So CA has got a program in place. And this is not just a program in name only, but this is backed up by processes, by professional services processes, and by tools, by migration tools. So something that can be used to, in a structured way, analyze whether or not your mainframe is a candidate for this rationalization program, then do a detailed assessment, provide a very detailed overview of how the migration will take place, and using a number of tools and capabilities from CA services to implement that migration in a seamless manner. Another capability which is certainly of relevance to the application economy and digital transformation is the notion of where DevOps meets the mainframe. Now, if you think about DevOps initiatives, they tend to be those that have come out of systems of innovation. So developers and testing communities working on distributed environments. But the fact is, at some point, these developers and testers do need access to non-production versions of the mainframe to support their development and testing activities. And unfortunately, the mainframe by nature is not very flexible in that regard. It is not easy to provision non-production versions of a mainframe to support development and testing activities. So what if you could provide synthetic versions of the mainframe and make these available to developers and testers on a 24/7 basis, no constraints? What kind of impact would that make to your development and testing activities? So this is something that CA has. We've been working on this for about 10 years. But essentially, the ability here is to create a virtual version of a mainframe that meets and exceeds the needs of developers and testers to conduct their activities. There is also capabilities here around providing test data. So test data constraints are another very prevalent complaint around working with the mainframe. So not being able to access test data to support scenarios that you wish to test. Again, CA has got a number of tools which address these concerns. The ultimate end solution is something that gives you virtual mainframes and test data to support playing with those virtual mainframes. The final solution that I'll discuss here, although there are many more within CA, is again privilege access management. Now this is a topic that I address in the security video within this series, so please do check that out. But essentially privilege access management is all about putting controls in place to monitor and control the access that admin level employees may have to your mainframe. So this becomes especially important if you outsource the maintenance of your mainframe. How do you know that those privileged users, those administrators who have access to your mainframe, are operating within the confines of your security policies?